know you're a human, and you can't deal with doctors and researchers and bosses. You can deal with humans. Otherwise, it's just exhausting. You're clashing persona.
I think there's something underlying that as well, which is the loss of confidence within the public service. And I really have no idea, but I suspect you're feeling it here in Washington. It's certainly been felt in Dublin. They're under a much darker and more difficult cosh, but it has become de rigueur to basically slag off the public service. In some senses, all is needed is a nice piece of Catholic confession. Get it over with, get it out there. As long as you're confident enough, if you're confident enough in your processes, then you allow people to kind of unblock. And it is really about having confidence in the process and understanding the process. The technology is easy and getting easier. I'll have my own quick anecdote here. 2 years ago, my late mother and I were discussing going to visit some relatives on my father's side up on the north coast of Donegal, which is right up on the northwest of Ireland. Beautiful place, but 3.5 hours drive away. And at the time, I had a very small baby boy. So we talked about Mass, getting Mass first, and she said, let's go to 10 o'clock. I said, look, we'll go to 10 o'clock. We'll not be back till 11. We won't get on the road till 12 o'clock. It'll be dark by the time we get there. We're not going to see anybody, and blah, blah, blah. I said, what about the webcast? The priest said there's a webcast. So, of the vigil Mass on the Saturday night, and she says, oh yes, that's fine. So I set that all up for her, and she was totally gripped because the loop system in the chapel where she worships doesn't work. The sound is the architecture. The sound all goes up this little funnel right at the very top. So she was totally gripped because she'd not heard the homily for 5 or 6 years. Right, and my 18-month-old is doing somersaults on the living room floor, and she does the whole house kept on falling down. She was fantastic. Anyway, thought no more about it. Went off to Donegal, had a great time. 3 weeks later, she rang me as she used to every Saturday morning, and she says, "Oh, I see you're doing such and such," and I'm going, "Who told you?" And she says, "I read it on Slugger O2." And I said, "Did our Mary, my sister, did she set the thing up for you?" She says, No, did it myself. Now, the backstory of this is my mother had an email phone which had broke 5 years previously, and she bought a laptop, and she had spent most of the last 5 years trying to work out how to work it. She'd gone to 2 sets of night class lessons. She'd had 2 personal mentors who'd come in and try to get her. But as soon as she knew there was something of real value online, she jumped over every single hurdle that was put in. She was 90 years of age when she died last year. And that tells you something about all of these barriers. If there is something of sufficient value in there, people will get to it. That's what you need to talk up with your colleagues. You need to talk up the fact that the value, not the how-to. The how-to will look after itself once you give yourself the time to get creative and start to trust the intelligent commons that's out there.
Wow. Thank you. Did you